based on what they've experienced to help you be able to create that result so much faster based on what they learned.
Hey, welcome to the BeMoHappy Show, the podcast that's all about boosting your happiness and helping you navigate life's challenges. I'm your host, Morris Mo Chasson, and I'm excited that you're here and being a part of this new season, Resilience Revolution. We'll be deep diving into the power of resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to change, and thrive in the face of adversity. It's time to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and unlock your inner strength. We will be joined by experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who have faced life's curveballs head on and came out stronger. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, share inspiring stories, and equip you with tools not just to survive, but to thrive in the midst of life's storms. So whether you're going through a tough time, seeking personal growth, or just looking for a daily dose of inspiration, join us in Resilience Revolution. Get ready for a season of empowerment, insight, and a whole lot of joy. This is the BeMoHappy Show. The Resilience Revolution starts now. What are some practical strategies or exercises you would recommend for building resilience for somebody that's just kind of starting in their journey?
That's a loaded question because I want to ask more questions. So give me an example of what someone might be dealing with that they need to have resilience for.
Guess family trouble, maybe.
Family trouble?
Yeah.
So say you're in a conversation or a relationship where it is something where you need to diffuse the situation to make sure that you're coming at it from a logical state. Because oftentimes, especially in any kind of relationship, it's so easy, especially with those closest to us, for us to take out all of our frustrations on them and everything else because we feel as if they'll always have our back. Like I see it so often in couples because they feel like, oh, this person's married to me, or this person, they'll always support me no matter what, so I can treat them the worst. And we show up as these best people for everyone else that aren't inside our house. It's how does that make any sense whatsoever? But it's that little thought in the back of people's heads oh, I can do this because they'll be there. Yeah. Not always. And realizing that I can go into a whole rabbit hole of why I think that reconnecting yourself constantly, not just through marriage and this paperwork, that's societal standards, but committing to dating the person you're with and, being the best version of yourself always for that person because you realize that they can always slip away out of your life. But I don't think that those kind of relationships ever happen until you truly love yourself too, because then you're coming into a relationship full of love, not because of what you need to get. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's so key, as well as I think communication with yourself, communication with others. There's so many things that should be taught at an early age. And I joke with my boys, I tell them, you're not allowed to get married till you're 30. Mm-hmm. I truly don't think you know yourself until then. But back to the relationship question, the resilience.
That's true. I agree.
One of the things that you can do if you're in a really heightened emotion type situation or a conflict and you need to be able to think logically, you can do what I call 5 steps away. So you can sit in a seat, get grounded, put your feet on the ground, close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths because you know how quickly that can change your state, just breathing. If you notice yourself throughout the day, how shallow and how oftentimes you hold your breath throughout the day, especially when you're scrolling or on your phone, it is insane. So taking that time to truly breathe and allow that to come through you to change your state. And then what you do is you imagine yourself 5 steps away, looking at yourself in that chair. And you look at yourself and you say, what does that Mo need? What does that Mo need to say? What is that Mo, what is he feeling? And as you continuously take these 5 steps away, you're disassociating from yourself. You're lowering those emotions and you're able to get into your mind and think logically. Because when you're in a heightened state, you are not thinking logically. Your brain is in, your whole system's in fight or flight, and your adrenaline's going. You never want to say. That is one thing that has been a major, major lesson in my life, and not because of what I've said, but words are so important. So important. You're always creating your reality, and you cannot take back words once you say them. Forgiveness is key, but you can't unhear words. And you're always creating situations in your life through words. And that's why they call it spelling. You're casting spells constantly through the words you think and say. But and just keep doing that. Keep stepping 5 steps from the mo. So you step 5 steps away from that second mo, ask the same questions. Just let those thoughts come in as your emotions start to diffuse. And then from that last mo, you'll have such a different perspective on the situation. You'll have given your time, because it only takes 90 seconds for an emotion to pass. So if you give yourself 90 seconds to allow that to flow through, so you're not acting out of that state of rage or anger, or sadness or hurt or whatever it is, you're going to come at the situation and the conversation in such a better place. And one of the other things I like to ask myself, is this going to matter a week from now? Is this going to matter a month from now? Is this going to matter a year from now? And if it's not, don't make it mean a lot now. Like, so often we're triggered to be right in the moment, or what we think is right, or to win the argument, or make sure our voice is heard, which comes from feeling unheard and unimportant and not worth it, and like all these other beliefs that trigger those thoughts, and even the desire to have to feel that way. When you're free of that stuff, you don't care. You allow other people to have their own experience because you know your truth. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone else, because you've proven yourself to yourself, and you love yourself, and what they think doesn't matter. You let them have their own experience. So just allow that time for the emotion to pass. Ask, is this really going to matter a week from now? And then also dissociate so that those emotions can diffuse and you can get into your logical brain.
That's so good, man. I love it. So you said 5 seconds away?
5 steps away.
5 steps
So
away.
imagine
okay.
stepping 5 steps away from
Okay.
yourself. And when you're in those situations, what do I want to share? I have a couple things coming up right now that you can do. Say that you have a thought that's really persistent. It's a persistent thought that makes you feel some type of way you don't want to feel that way. Imagine that thought on a piece of paper out in front of you. So you can just imagine that. Write that thought on that piece of paper. And then I want you to erase it. And then I want you to rip up that piece of paper in your mind. What you're doing is you're taking away power from that thought to affect you. And it seems so simple and almost silly, but it is so powerful, because again, you're taking it out of here and taking it external, and then removing the power that it has over you. So that's powerful. A couple energy practices that you can do is imagine everybody else's, like whether it be one person, whether it be stuff that you picked up throughout the day, but imagine that energy as a black veil over you. And then you can imagine this vacuum, or like this space vac, whatever you want to imagine, and just imagine it sucking that black veil off of you and going back out to space and converting into whatever it needs to in order to serve its higher purpose. But just imagining that coming off of you, you will feel a physical difference immediately, because everything is energy. Like, we can talk, I do EEGs. I look at brain waves to see exactly how your brain is, why you're behaving a certain way. We can go tangible. We can go the neurofeedback route. We can go programming through words, which is NLP. We can focus on nutrition and blood work and everything to change your physiology, because that also changes how your brain works. Like, there's so many different ways to look at it. But at the base foundation, energy is everything. We are all energy. So when you practice these energy processes, you put yourself and you give yourself the best chance at all of this other stuff working for you. And then the embodiment practice I'll share as a recording for your listeners is going to really help people step into that person daily as well, so that they just feel good and the results come to them quicker too. But everything is energy. Do the veil thing too. That really helps lift all of that off of you.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you as far as the energy. Like everything is energy, right?
Yeah.
Our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, all that. Yes. Nicki, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing all of those techniques, and because if we would actually use it and practice it, like the changes. And I think sometimes it's like journaling in a sense, because I love to journal, but sometimes I'm like, man, I'm not going to journal tonight. You know what I mean? But I know the positive effects it has on me, because I feel like at that time, I feel like I'm just receiving downloads like crazy.
Yeah.
And like it's I have to do it, you know.
Yeah, and
But
that's
then,
so powerful because you're taking it outside of yourself too. You're downloading, so you're allowing that to come through, which is amazing. And if you have any other thoughts, you're letting that dump into there. And my one tip would be any negative thoughts that you write out, write at least double positive thoughts.
mhm.
Like make sure that whatever wiring and whatever time you're spending in the releasing of something, you are at least doubling or tripling the positive that you put back in. And that we can
Mm.
go into inputs, we can go into all kinds of things. Make sure you're setting your day up for making sure that state is a positive one that's going to help you feel good because that's what we're
Mhm.
after. Like I said, the external things we think are going to make us feel a certain way will, but we can access that now. Journal in the morning. Drink, like when you're drinking a cup of coffee, be so grateful for that cup of coffee.
Mhm.
Get into a state of appreciation. Send someone a voice memo telling them how much you appreciate them and like what an impact they've made on your life. If you're a business owner, go back and remind yourself how awesome you are at creating money. Look at your PayPal, look at your Stripe, look at your everything, and look at what you're able to create in any given moment and get into that state of appreciation. For me, it's turning on music. I love music. So I make sure I turn on my favorite music and I sing and I dance and everything first thing in the morning because that puts me into such a good flow for the rest
Mhm.
of the day to just be so much better.
Yeah,
And then obviously getting key on your or like keyed in and super clear on your identity and who you need to be in order for whatever you desire to show up in your life and being her or him now. That is everything. And then before bed, one more tip I'll give. When you go to bed, that's three things you should think about before even asking your subconscious mind a question because I truly believe before falling asleep you should ask your subconscious mind for whatever you need to work on. For me last night it was like show me what it is that people truly desire. Like I'm still ruminating on that thought. But before that I go over three things that went well today. Like count your wins. Like what are three things that went really well today? And it could be as simple as like you smiled at someone at the grocery store and you notice how much, or you complimented them and you notice how much it lit up their, their face. And even doing those things, the more that we can be that which we desire, the more you're going to attract that. Like, are
Mhm.
you being the person now and giving that to other people? Because that's what's going to get reflected back to you.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there's just so many things, but count your wins. Focus on the
Yeah.
things that went well for the day
Mhm.
because then your subconscious mind is going to be scanning the next day, knowing that you're going to ask yourself. So, literally, by knowing you're going to ask yourself what three things went well today, the next day your subconscious mind is seeking those things out because it has to answer those questions that night. So, the power of asking better questions is also key. If you find yourself asking, oh my gosh, why does this happen to me? Ask yourself, how is this happening for me? Like any question could be framed as a good question because when your mind gets a question, it has to find the answer, it has to close the loop. So you want to give it whatever question is going to give your brain the best possible chance at seeking out the evidence to prove that true because you're never going to prove yourself wrong
Mhm.
ever. So ask the questions for the outcome you desire.
Yeah.
I could ramble for hours, Mo.
No, it's good. I know. I love it. It's because you have so much knowledge up there, and you have so much to share. I love it. I think it's
No, thank
incredible.
you. It's so much fun.
What advice do you have for parents or educators looking to foster resilience
Mm,
in children and adolescents?
yeah, that's such a good question. The first thing that comes to mind for me is making sure that you're having the conversations with your kids. Just literally just sitting with them, whether they're playing a video game, meet them where they're at, sit beside them, and you'll be surprised at the conversations that come up. And don't expect them to be vulnerable with you if you're not vulnerable with them.
Hmm.
Like, obviously, there's things that kids can't hear, right? And there's things that you should shelter your kids from. But there are also things like if you're having a bad day, own it. Explain why you're having a bad day. And if you went off on them, apologize and
Hmm.
explain why you felt that way and that you're sorry because that gives them the permission to do the same thing when they're having a bad day. Like, oh, mom has bad days too. But really just meeting them where they're at and sitting with them and not trying to change them, just listening, but asking the questions. Like I think so often we think that our kids are just going to come to us with this stuff, but if you think of yourself as a child, would you have sat down next to your parent? And I'm so grateful the boys do come to me and they do share. But just even being honed in on their emotional state so that you know what to ask. And some of the questions you could say are just like, what's going on, buddy? Or do you want to talk about it? Permission based. You can't say, like, what's wrong? What's going on? Tell me, like, do you want to talk about it? And oftentimes with that permission, then they soften and they open up. But like I said, the key, I think, is just allowing that space to be open enough, meet them where they're at before the conversation even happens, but also being able to be vulnerable and sharing from your heart. They feel that, whether you're telling the truth or not. They feel whether you're being open. And when you are, just like I said, you get more of what you are, they will with you too. So understanding where they're at, that's the first step, obviously. And then anything that comes up that you can sense isn't serving them in a positive way, helping them see that and helping them reframe that. So for instance, could be a kid was on the playground and no one would play with him at recess, right? So this kid has decided that no one likes him. He doesn't make friends easily. He doesn't like school. Like, people don't like him because he's different. Those are such easy beliefs to pick up based on that experience. I've seen it time and time again through clients' experiences. Like, those are the kind of things that we make those experiences mean. Being able to say, hold on, like, just because you had this experience with those 5 kids doesn't mean that you're not an amazing, awesome kid. Like, there are so many people that are going to click with you. There are so many people that are going to have fun with you and want to play with you. Like, it doesn't mean that you can't make friends. It doesn't mean that you're not special. It doesn't mean that you're different. Like, and just having that conversation too, because you don't know what you don't know. The kid's frame of reference is based on the environment that they're in, the experiences that they've had up until that point. So I believe it's their job as a parent, as an educator, as anyone, a guardian in their life, to be that person that comes in there and gives them that perspective shift, that it just because it feels this way and you've made it mean this now doesn't mean that it has to keep feeling that way, and it doesn't have to mean that. And really, it's one of the best things you can do for your kids, because at any moment we can change that. We can go into the past and make corrections, right? We can release from things. But if you can do it in that moment, they're not going to live their entire lives trying to seek evidence to prove that belief true, because that's what happens. You believe that, and then your entire life you go through life trying to prove that belief correct, because that's what you chose to believe in that moment, even if it's not serving you. And it's one of these silliest things that we can do, but if we don't know, we don't know. So realizing that it is your responsibility to just be observing, and then to help make those perspective changes, and to help get your kids, like, figure out what puts them in a good mood. Is it music? For my one son, it's music. We sing, we dance, we, like, every time I let him out for school, it's like, all I do is, and he goes, wing, wing, what? My oldest son's just like, you guys are so stupid. Like, they're different kids. So find what makes them happy. Wes loves to talk about explosions and all kinds of things. So I meet him there because I know that's what's going to light him up. So really getting to know what puts those kids in an emotional state that feels good too, because that's resilience. How quickly can we close that cycle when something bad happens that we don't like, that puts us in a feeling that we don't like? What can we do in between there to change that state, to change what that means, so that we're get back on the path? I told someone the other day that the only tattoo I think I would ever, I don't have any tattoos, and I'm not against them. My sister's covered in them. I think they're amazing forms of expression. I've just never had anything that I've wanted on my body forever, right?
Same.
But the one thing that I've considered is the circle. And in the circle, it says 528, which is the frequency of love. And it kind of connects into the circle. And then it has 2 arrows. One's towards the past and one's towards the future, or left and right. And what it means is you're either going to continue on this circle your entire life, living the same life over and over again, looping, or you're going to, and like learning the lessons like we talked about, that we need to either progress and move forward or regress if we don't learn the lessons. So like, that's a constant reminder that you're either moving forward or regressing or staying stuck in this loop, which is literally, I could think of nothing different that would be horrible than living the same year over and over again and not changing and evolving and experiencing better and better.
Right.
But yeah, I think living out of love always, because like I said, anything that isn't love is an illusion. Fear, all of that stuff is just an illusion. And when you get to that place of self-love, trust, then you have that peace and that freedom to be whoever whoever you want to be and to create whatever it is you want to experience in life. And that's, like I said, your birthright.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So communication is important. I
Huge.
mean, I think we talked about that earlier. It's important in business, relationships, but most importantly, I think it's with the kids,
Yeah.
because if the kids, if they feel rejected by their parents, it's more easy for them to feel rejected by other people as
Oh, yeah.
well. You know what I mean? But if they feel accepted and loved and communicated in a good, loving way, I think it helps them for their entire future to be better, because
Mhm.
they're more accepting of themselves. And yeah, like I love Nikki. You're awesome.
And language matters. Little things that we picked up throughout life, like money doesn't grow on trees, or even if a parent, and I've seen this, like, especially in the toddler years, like they say, oh my gosh, these kids are tornadoes, or you guys never listen, or yada, 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 yada. We don't live up to what we say because we're like, they
Ah,
throw up their arms and like, if my mom and dad think this already, why do anything else? It's not even worth it. So speaking, like, you guys are so helpful. Thank you for listening so well. Like, I'll end everything that I say. If I have a request of them, it's like, thank you for being so responsible. Thank you for being so helpful. Thank you for being patient. Like, if I need some time, labeling them that which you desire them to be is so key. They live into that. You think about yourself. If someone's down talking you, you're just like, fuck you. Like, why? I'm not going to try to perform for you or like be good. But when someone's speaking into you and they're speaking into your highest self and they're acknowledging you for the good that you do, you want to do more of it. It's such a
mhm,
natural human desire. So do the same thing with your kids and realize how little nuances in language can really affect a kid. Like, in ways that you don't think are huge. I actually experienced this recently. Um, I won't go into details, but how can I do this without going into details? But basically, this child was feeling as if he was looked at a certain way in a very negative light. And like, he was so defeated and emotional because of it. So, and it was the other person wasn't trying to be negative. And he started realizing that sometimes it's people that have the best intentions, they just don't know how to communicate that and speak that
mhm,
in a way that makes that child feel they're doing the best they can with what they have too. So helping the kid understand that that person is they love you so much. They don't actually mean that. They just don't know how to communicate in any other way. They don't, and just explaining those things as well and explaining like behind even other kids at school, if someone's being a little bully or not nice, like something might be going on at home and this is the way they're like expressing it because they're hurt, and hurt people, but that doesn't mean that you're not worthy or you're not cool or anything like that. And just helping them understand those frames and those mental models so that they're not making it mean something about themselves,
mhm.
and that everyone's doing the best they can with what they have in any given moment,
Yeah,
typically.
that's yeah. It's so true, man. I think I talked about this with somebody else just the other day too. How hurt people. Like, instead of us responding to negative people with a negative response, like, it's always best to respond from a place of love and acceptance.
Yeah.
Whether, like, it triggers you in a sense, but if it does trigger you, I mean, hey, why the fuck is it triggering you?
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? And
Yeah.
figure that out before you respond, because if you respond with negativity, it's just gonna blow up, right?
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
fix. Yeah. Well, how's that saying go? Who said it? You can't fix.
Can't fix a
Um.
problem with the same level of thinking that got you into the
Yes.
problem type thing. I
Yes.
think Albert
Yes.
Einstein. Yeah.
Okay. Nikki, I know you're busy. I want to stay on talking for another hour, but I know you have things to do, so I don't want to hold you up forever.
I
I
appreciate you, Mo.
appreciate.
You've always been such a light in my life ever since we met. Like the BeMoHappy could not be any more fitting for you because that smile, I think, who said that? 10,000-watt smile or something like that on one of Reggie's calls. Like you and Laz both have that. It's
Mhm.
just, yeah, keep it because the world needs more of it. for sure.
Wow.
And I'm very, very, very appreciative of our friendship and the fact that we stay in touch the way we do, and the opportunities that I've had to serve you as well and kind of change some things. And it's been awesome.
Nicki, you're incredible. And also, do you want to let people know where they can find you at, Nicki?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. It's Nicki.Hoffman, HOFFMAN on Instagram. I'm on Facebook more. Yeah, that's where you can find me. Anywhere on social.
Well, awesome. Well, Nicki, look, I love this whole episode. Like, I'm so psyched about it because you fucking killed it.
Aw, thank you, Mo.
And it's just the amazing energy that I always feel in your presence is the best.
Aw, I appreciate that. Same goes for you. It's like this
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, I don't know.
all love and possibility. Everything good. Just good. Good vibes.
All right, Nicki. I'll
Have a
talk
good
to you later. Have a good one.
Wait. Before you go, I want you to know I truly, truly appreciate you. And I know there's a handful of you that tune in and week out. You the real MVP. You the one. I appreciate you. On another note, I want to remind you guys there is an embodiment exercise that Nicki wanted me to include on this podcast. If you can go to the link, click that link. It's an embodiment exercise. It's something that she uses on her clients to help them get over their limiting beliefs and helps them to reprogram their thoughts. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode because I sure did. So I love you guys. Be more happy. Let's go, baby.